Hello, this video was made by Conspiracy R Us. I quite like a lot of his videos, so I've taken a few minutes out to show you, but please go over to his channel and watch all the other videos and the rest of this one. He's talking about golden statues today, the lady statues. Yes, I think let's see in England if we have any. Let's have a look. Yes, there's some more here. These ones say they're from Austria, those ones. And he was saying that they prayed to them. And sometimes they're shown as pregnant. That one's supposed to be an ancient Greek sculpture. Quite a few lady statues then, isn't there? Yes, so many people now have said that that is a man, not a woman, and if it's a man, it's a very ugly woman. Sorry, if it's a woman, it's a very ugly woman. He brings this one up. This actually is quite a big statue. This one's in America. But anyway, let's move on with his video.
Hello everybody and welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Golden Woman. Now there are a lot of these goddess statues. You can find them in buildings, on top of buildings, and this particular one is the Statue of the Republic in the Capitol building in Havana, Cuba. And sometimes these statues are gilded. This one I believe is it's gold, it's gilded in gold. And it's massive, as you can kind of tell here from these images. And here's just some people looking up at this one. But I think some of these statues, I believe some of them actually represent deities, actual goddesses, as opposed to personifications. The statue would represent liberty, for instance. So just to recap, and I touched upon this in an earlier video called Paganism, Old Milwaukee Style. But from the 1800s to the early 1900s, you would have countries taking this Greek goddess Athena and adapting that to their own countries and turning it into a personification. So in the United States, you had Lady Liberty in Colombia, but it's supposed to be based off this Greek goddess Athena for some reason. Britain had Britannia, and Germany had Germania. And so there's all these personifications, but they all tie back to this, what we're told is the goddess Athena. And I think this is just a clever way to disguise this actual goddess worship. And I think it all ties back to a deity or a group of deities, in my view. And this is just a Mobile County courthouse in the 1900s, and a couple photos of it from different time periods. But you can see how a lot of buildings would have these goddess statues on top of them, and we're told it would represent industry and liberty and all these things. But I don't think that's the case. But in this particular instance, they ended up getting rid of all these statues on top and adding a bit of rustification. The appearance of the building changes from the late 1800s up into the early 1900s. So we find these statues everywhere on top of a lot of buildings, and so I just wanted to recap that. But getting back to these gilded statues, you had the Chicago World Fair. There was another statue of the Republic, the Chicago World Fair of 1893, and it was destroyed by fire. Now, I kind of forgot how many fires occurred during that World Fair. The top left image here is just the Statue of the Republic. It survived 3 previous fires before being burned down at the end of August in 1896. So quite literally 4 fires, and it got destroyed during the 4th fire. But yeah, just
When I looked it up, it came up with this person, okay? It says that it's all to do with the scales, it's all to do with where is it? It's all to do with our legal system, justice. We know there isn't any. Well, there's only one justice, and it's called Holy Roman Empire, but it's not justice, is it? Well, I'm just going to look up the woman that he is talking about, but we have something very similar, but it's used all over as justice, which we know is a load of rubbish. So it was probably something else, all these figures originally, they meant something else. I think we're talking about the same goddess, to be honest. He refers to her as a goddess, but these on top of buildings and important a lot of them are in important buildings. It's all to do with justice, I think, but we know justice isn't real. Well, not for us anyway. It's what that's about. But the story to that is just so bizarre. Like, this statue is going somewhere else, and I don't know, I think the French were giving it, or the Spanish, I can't remember now, and the other country didn't want it, and then America said, oh, we'll have it, and that's how you got it, because it was meant for someone else, and they didn't want it, and you had it. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue with the video.
Interesting stuff. But this kind of opens a door for me to talk about this golden woman. And there is another name for that. I believe it's either Russian or Slavic, but it's Zlata Baba. And if you start looking on old maps, there is a depiction of this golden woman on several maps spanning quite a period of time. And it's usually located in northeast Europe or northwest Siberia. And if we just take a look at the Mercator map of 1569, the world map, this golden woman appears by the name of Zlata Baba on the 1569 map of the world. And I think it is in this region. We're going to zoom in on this region here in the next slide. And I've just pointed an arrow to it. But you get this figure of this Zlata Baba, golden woman. And it's around this one river. I think it's called the Obi River. They'll have her in different locations, but it shows up in several maps. So this is the 1569 Mercator world map. There is a 1562 map of Russia by Anthony Jenkinson, and here's the golden woman, and we'll zoom in on that in the next slide. But yeah, the giant golden woman. Sometimes she's seen carrying a child, other times she's shown as being pregnant. But so let's go to another map. 1549 map of Russia, Moscovia, and again you have this golden lady. She's on the other side of this Obi River in this particular photo or image, and we're going to zoom in on that as well. So Zlata Baba, it's spelled differently from time to time, but it's just an interesting thing that I just never really knew about until more recently. But here's just one more map, 1590, and again the same. We're going to zoom in on that, and here you go. Sometimes she's sitting down or standing, but Zlata Baba, and just a weird thing, and people would worship this golden lady and in return for favors, and they actually turned it into a movie here from apparently there's a movie from 1986, and again the spelling changes, but it's Zlata Baba, which I have not seen. Yeah, just an interesting, when you start looking at all these gilded statues, these giant gilded statues, it just makes you wonder if there's any connection. Okay, let's take it back to North America for a second here, because there's a lot of gold gilded statues on top of these state capitol buildings as well. And this is just one example of that. The statue on top of the Wisconsin State Capitol building, which stands over 15 feet tall and weighs more than 3 tons. Now there's some interesting photos that show this particular statue being raised. In 1914, there was this press photo. I think the overall point of this video is that these goddess statues are really representing a deity as opposed to just like a concept like liberty or just representing a country. But this Commonwealth statue, there's another gilded statue on the top of the Pennsylvania State Capitol building, referred to as the Commonwealth statue, also nicknamed Miss Penn and the Spirit of the Commonwealth.
So, back with Mickey here right now, who's being miserable. He's stuck at home and he's getting quite restless now, aren't you, Mickey?
Yeah, especially today. I haven't slept for about 14 hours.
No. You haven't slept yet, Mickey. That's why you're restless, because you didn't sleep last night.
Well, be in my shoes.
Oh, I really feel for you, Mickey, and you know I do. So it upsets me quite a lot.
It upset me too. Made me fucking cry. Fuck my friends.
Oh, Mickey.
Sorry, anyway.
Yeah, he waits till we go live to tell me that one. Anyway, Mickey, we're looking at golden goddesses.
Oh, those pleasures.
And yeah, oh Mickey, that's it. Because we made a video before, but it's hissing a bit his end, so we've done it again. It's still hissing, but it's much better than it was before. So I think it's got just as bad now, to be honest. But yeah, we'll have to hear it on the playback. But you just think they're men. They're depicted to us as women, but you think they're men. These ones.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So all the Phoenician goddesses, isn't it?
But Conspiracy Hour says some of them are pregnant. And then we do have Justice as well, because she's golden. I don't see any of these things being that good, to be honest, because it's, you know, that one's on Queen Victoria, so yeah, right. But anyway, you got any more thoughts on that one, Mickey, before we continue?
What, big top?
On golden goddesses, men, or golden goddesses, you know.
Nah, that's just me. And then my Statue of Liberty. The man. Big hands and big feet. And tall.
Occasionally, Mickey, you're so funny. Anyway, well, thanks for that. They're men. Right, well, we're going to continue with the video now. Thanks, Mickey.
You know, but what's interesting with these larger statues on top of the Capitol buildings, when it comes time for them to be restored, to go through a restoration, they usually have to break out these air cranes, these helicopters, to take these statues, you know, off the top of the domes, and then when they're finished restoring the statues, they place them back up, and they use these helicopters. So I understand it's a more efficient way to do it, but there's a lot that goes into it. So I would have been interested in seeing a more detailed display of how they did that, you know, around the turn of the century. But I did come across a PDF that was talking about the preservation of the statue on top of the Pennsylvania State Capitol building. And they kind of show an interesting image showing this statue being put into place. And I'll let you be the judge of what you think of it, but I'm going to zoom in on this particular image here. And it just says that what we're looking at here, workers set the bronze Commonwealth statue into place atop of the dome in 1905. And this particular inset, which is zoomed here, just shows you a close-up of the statue. But I just wanted to show you that. But when you look into some of the background stories behind these statues, some of them have some interesting backstories, such as this Miss Freedom, which sits on top of the state capitol building of Georgia, and it also is pretty massive. But this particular statue was also restored at one point, and they brought out the air crane again. But when you look at the history of this particular statue, the statue's origin is vague, as the original documents pertaining to the construction of the state capitol and Miss Freedom were burned. So it's kind of a dead end. It's just one of the weird things that you'll run into. And